Hello, adventurers. Let's turn the light on. Hi there, it's Andy from Twisted Narrative, and it occurs to me that I've talked a lot about the smoke, my homebrew urban setting, but I made comments here, there, and everywhere, and not really done a video to explain exactly my concept of tales from the smoke. So we're going to start a series of videos doing Tales from the Smoke chat. So what is the smoke? What is Tales from the Smoke? Well, it occurred to me the start of this year, start of 2023. That's where we are at the moment. Um, the I had this game world, the smoke, an urban setting specifically that I was using for fifth edition. So fantasy orientated, kind of diesely steampunky world. Um, but it occurred to me that there were a lot of people that were trying to turn fifth edition Dungeons and Dragons into other genres um, of game, sort of horror based, science fiction based. And I wanted to try and flip that around. So instead of changing the system, to change the setting instead, keep the setting the same, but run different systems within it. So I'm very familiar with this setting and decided that I'd take the smoke, and the majority of things will always remain the same in the games that I run with it, but I will tweak it and adapt it to fit a certain system. So, for instance, we've already run now Call of Cthulhu in Tales from the Smoke. We've ran Shadow Dark in Tales from the Smoke, and more recently we've run Feng Shui in the smoke, and each of them have very, very different feels to it. One is eldritch horror, mythospace, no apparent magic, high threat. Another one, again, high threat but fantasy based with ancestries that are goblins and orcs and all of this um, a different feel, a fantasy feel, if you wish. And then feng shui, cinematic Hong Kong action set in modern times with cars and everything else. Um, so it was an interesting sort of exercise to do, and I've enjoyed it very much. You can watch those videos. I'll put a link down in the comment section below, and it'll be interesting to get your comments on it to see what you think, whether it works as a universal setting with obvious changes. Um, I really like the idea of the smoke being some kind of nexus point. I don't want to do multiversal and crossover sort of systems. I want to keep each system distinct, but this urban landscape exists in all of these worlds, somewhat similar, but changed to fit the system. So that's the idea that came to me, and as I say, we've put it into practice. We've got some videos that of actual plays that have been done are up on YouTube at the moment. As I said, I check the comment section below for the links of those, and we're looking to do many more. So if you've got any favourite game systems that you would like us to try and incorporate the smoke into, let us know. I'm always up for a little bit of a challenge. But for those of you who are not familiar what the smoke is, I thought I'd do this primer. It's great for those who are playing in my games to sort of get an idea of it. And it's also good to reach out beyond that echo chamber of our own Twisted Narrative community and see what the world, the wider world, also thinks. So, without further ado, here we go. The smoke. It's a Gothic industrial setting where powerful mercantile houses compete for control of the city. As the peelers or the police force are funded by these mercantile houses, many judgments often favour them. This has led to the rise of many detective agencies who will work on behalf of the accused for an obvious price. Nature has abandoned the smoke, though. The city is shrouded in eternal smog, while a polluted river, known commonly as the Slick, slowly flows through its heart. There is much industry within the smoke. The wealthy live high above the sea of smog in high-story luxury, whilst the poor eke out an existence best they can amongst the overcrowded, soot-ridden streets. Deep below the city, even further down than what is called the Rat Run, which is the underground transport system, is the pit, an extensive maze of mine shafts and quarries where the coal is gathered to run the huge engines that power all of the factories, mills and workhouses. The smoke is divided up into a number of distinct districts. So these are Slickside, which are equivalent to the docks. Then there are the Jade tenements, with trade open to the Court of Five Thunders, the Far East. Many travellers from those from the east have come bringing precious commodities as tea, which is now a very popular beverage throughout the entirety of the smoke, seeing many tea houses popping up. Then there is the squalor. This is the slums of the smoke, including many workhouses and orphanages. There are, of course, the neighbourhoods. This is the residential area of the city. There are numerous different neighbourhoods where, on the whole, the working populace of the smoke makes their homes as best as they can here. Then there is the splendour. This is the heart of the city, featuring many of the city's finest sights. With those here, you would have all of the museums, theatres, nightclubs, libraries, all the sights to see. There is, of course, Cog Street, close to the Splendour. This is where much of the trade is done. Many sort of banks. The Guy Vort is here, which is the big central bank, and there are many offices where businesses do much of their legal and accounting work from. There is Sut Hill. This district is full of many of the factories and mills and power stations. It is where much of the pollution spews from. Then we have sort of specific locations within those districts. Very briefly, just to name a few, we've mentioned the Slick before. It is spanned by many great bridges, but no one takes a deliberate dip in the Slick. There is the Rat Run, an extensive public underground transport system that can take you rapidly underneath the smoke from one station to another. Sorrow House Sanatorium, an asylum, and a hospital for well-being. It's also homes or seeks to cure the criminally insane. Nightgate Stockade, the main prison of the smoke, occupying the same location as Sorrow House. There is the Bacchanalia, numerous blocks, collections of music halls, theatres, lodges, nightclubs, and the like. Angel Heart Hospital, the leading institution doing healing, research into medical science, and many things that most of the public are unaware of. Of course, with such a large population and with these mercantile houses trying to grasp wealth and power at every turn, those that work tend to be unionized, tend to belong to guilds. There are many of these, and many of them function with a duality of purpose. There are the lower guilds, although they themselves don't call them that. The Ratters, headed by Lord Gutter. The Ratters keep the sewers and the rat run clear of vermin. They're also expert of moving strategically below ground. If you want to move unseen, uh, a few coins in the pocket of a ratter might move you safely in or out of the city or to some cellar that you are trying to get to. There is, of course, the beggars, the guild head being Uncle Pockets. These make their home on Tower Bridge, and whilst they are across the city, plying their trade, begging for a few coins here and there, they very much keep their eyes open, and they are, without doubt, the foremost information brokers, although the Seamstresses Guild might question that. And then we move to the artisan guilds. These are the butchers, headed by Archibald Gristle. The butchers are skilled in cutting meat, both for consumption and also in battle. If you want to hire a bodyguard, a mercenary, someone to perhaps break a few bones, speak to the Butchers Guild and Archibald Gristle will sort you out one way or the other. The bakers, headed by Mistress Pastry, masters of all baked goods. It's often said that without the bakers, the workforce of the city would grind to a halt. And then there's the barbers, headed by Theodore Wax. A trim, a cut, or a shave can always be found at the Barbers Guild, along with a song or two. Although, be careful, if you ask for a close cut or a close shave, you might be entering a contract you didn't realise you were getting into. The Cutters Guild, or mostly known as the Gem Cutters, headed by James Cutter, or Diamond Jim as most of his friends call him. They skilled in all sorts of gemcraft and fine precious work, but they are also rumoured to be the guild to contact if you need something acquiring that is perhaps locked away. The Hatters Guild, headed by Topper, skilled in the manufacture of all types of headgear, including umbrellas to protect you from the acid rain that falls, and masks as well. The process of forming all of these headwear and the processes to make them have allowed the Hatters to develop a magnificent skill in alchemy, very very well known for their ability to use chemicals in the process of making their hats. These chemicals, though, have caused them to perhaps be slightly eccentric. Then we move to the final guilds, which count themselves as the high guilds. The potters, the potters make pots and jugs to the finest porcelain tea sets. It is said, though, that they also do an awful lot of arcane and eldritch research in their private times. The seamstresses, the guild head here is Evangeline Purity, skilled in the manufacture and design of the finest suits and gowns. But it has been said, if you wish to stitch up your enemies, then contact the seamstresses. There is the horologists, um, headed by Philomena Grost, purveyors of the finest timepieces from around the known world. It is also said that time is key to them. The upholsterers, well, these are known for putting the stuffing back into you, and the Upholsterers Guild run the city's hospitals and the asylum, aiming to heal both body and mind. And last but not least are the confectioners, headed up by Mistress Honey. Bread is for the poor, true perfection is confection, as she will often say. Crafters of all things sweet throughout the city. So you can feel the guilds as they look after their own guild mates and come into conflict occasionally with each other. But the things that the guilds do is shelter their own from the mercantile houses. Now, there are a number of mercantile houses, some more prominent than others, as money makes the smoke go round. Of the two foremost guilds, one is the House of Brass, obviously owned by the notorious Brass family, that are designers famed for their ingenuity for crafting new and wondrous mechanical contraptions. They've also invested heavily in the colonization of the new world. About their equal in wealth and power throughout the smoke is Titus Pinch, the head of the Pinch Press, a press baron holding all of the control of the newspapers and forms of communication. It has been said that he has been able to destroy the reputation of anybody within the smoke with a single front page article. So he is feared and liked in equal measure. Well, for the moment, this is where we will bring an end to the primer. Hopefully a good indication of why we have decided to do Tales from the Smoke, and also an initial setting showing you the guilds, the location of the districts and the like. In future chats, we will microscope into various key locations, guild lore, and other things. If you do have a favourite system that you would like us to try and use in this setting, as I say, please put a comment below. And check out the videos that we've already done for Shadow Dark, for Call of Cthulhu, and for Feng Shui. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. If you have liked this, please give us a subscribe and a like, and I will hopefully catch you on the flip side. Goodbye for now.